Californians know how much a house matters and children matter. And California is our home. In our home, every child should be loved, fed, and safe. Nor should they be left hungry when politicians seek to pour.
Newsom's campaign. A year has passed since Governor Gavin Newsom of California proposed a groundbreaking change to the U.S. Constitution aimed at placing new restrictions on arm ownership. However, the initiative hasn't garnered support from other states, raising questions about its feasibility and intent. Despite Newsom's active promotion of the proposal through social media and a campaign encouraging public petitions and donations, the effort hasn't gained significant traction beyond California. Legislative leaders from several large Democrat-controlled states have indicated that the idea of calling for a constitutional convention to adopt the amendment hasn't been discussed within their caucuses. Newsom spokesperson Nathan Click stated that the past year was focused on laying the groundwork for the campaign. The plan is to rejuvenate the effort in 2025 when most states begin new legislative sessions. The primary strategy involved engaging the public through an online petition, which also serves to expand the Political Action Committee's mailing list and training volunteers to support the cause. The campaign's lack of substantial progress has led to skepticism about Newsom's true intentions. Critics argue that the proposed amendment might be more about political positioning than a sincere effort to change the Constitution. Newsom has acknowledged the significant challenges in passing a constitutional amendment, suggesting that the campaign could be more about rallying supporters around a contentious issue and maintaining its prominence on the national stage, possibly as a precursor to a presidential run. California's strict arm control laws have been increasingly challenged and dismantled in the courts, especially after a critical ruling 2 years ago. Critics suggest that Newsom's amendment proposal is an attempt to shift a losing battle into a rallying point for supporters. Alan Gottlieb, founder and executive vice president of the Second Amendment Foundation, sees the proposal as a strategic move by Newsom. Gottlieb expressed that they've revealed their true intentions, aiming to eliminate the Second Amendment. He suggested that this individual is positioning himself for future Democratic primaries for a potential White House run, attempting to establish himself as the leading anti-arm candidate, thereby preventing others from claiming that stance. Newsom's team has spent the year focusing on building a grassroots movement to support the proposed amendment. This involves mobilizing volunteers and engaging the public through an online petition. The goal is to create a robust support system that can help legislators move the amendment forward when new legislative sessions begin. However, passing a constitutional amendment is notoriously difficult. It requires not only the introduction and approval of the amendment by Congress, but also ratification by 3/4 of the state legislatures. This high bar makes it essential to have widespread and enthusiastic support across many states, which has so far been lacking for Newsom's proposal. The coming year will be crucial for Newsom's campaign as it aims to gain momentum in 2025. The focus will be on translating grassroots support into legislative action, but this will be an uphill battle given the current political climate and the robust opposition from Second Amendment advocates. The skepticism around Newsom's motives, whether he's genuinely pursuing a constitutional change or merely engaging in savvy political messaging, will likely continue. For Newsom, the amendment campaign serves dual purposes. It keeps the issue of arm control in the public eye and bolsters his profile on a national level, putting arm control back on the map. California's arms laws are among the most stringent in the country, and they've only gotten stricter under Governor Gavin Newsom. Since taking office in 2019, Newsom has been a staunch advocate for arm control, signing numerous bills that regulate the sale, ownership, and manufacturing of weapons. However, the Supreme Court's 2022 decision in the Bruen case overturned New York's restrictive concealed carry law and set a new historical basis for reviewing arms laws, throwing California's stringent arm control measures into turmoil. Since the Bruen decision, California has faced a flurry of litigation from arm rights groups. judges have ruled unconstitutional several state laws, including those requiring safety features on hand arms, limiting mag capacity, banning attack arms, prohibiting arms in sensitive places, allowing lawsuits against manufacturers of dangerous arms, and restricting the purchase of more than one arm per month. These rulings, which have reversed previous decisions upholding the same laws, are currently being appealed by the state. In response to these judicial setbacks, Newsom announced a bold plan on June 8, 2023 to bypass the courts. His proposal involves calling for a convention of the states to add 4 new arms restrictions to the U.S. Constitution. These restrictions, which enjoy broad public support, include universal background checks for all arm purchases, raising the federal minimum age for arm buyers to 21, instituting a minimum waiting period between purchasing and receiving an arm, and banning the sale of attack weapons. According to Newsom spokesperson Nathan Click, the governor is not passively watching as right-wing judges dismantle California's arms safety laws. The path Newsom has chosen is undoubtedly challenging. Convening a constitutional convention requires the agreement of 2/3 of legislatures, 34 out of 50, and any proposed amendments must then be ratified by 3/4 of the states, 38 out of 50. Given the current political climate, achieving this level of consensus seems daunting. The last successful constitutional amendment was passed decades ago, highlighting the difficulty of such an endeavor. Despite these challenges, the California legislature took a significant step by passing a resolution to initiate the process at the end of last year's session. Assemblymember Reggie Jones Sawyer, a Los Angeles Democrat who shepherded the resolution through the assembly, emphasized the importance of keeping arm control on the national agenda. This was supposed to put it on the map and keep it on the map, he said. However, even some of Newsom's Democratic allies have expressed concerns about the potential risks of calling a constitutional convention. There's a fear that Republican-led states might use the opportunity to propose amendments advancing unrelated conservative priorities, which could derail the primary focus on arm control. The grassroots efforts to support this constitutional amendment is crucial. Newsom's team has spent the past year building a base of volunteers and engaging the public through online petitions. This groundwork is essential for garnering widespread support across the country. The next legislative sessions in 2025 will be crucial for the campaign's success. Newsom's push for a 28th Amendment highlights the broader national debate on arm control. While California continues to champion stricter regulations, the Supreme Court's decisions and subsequent legal battles illustrate the deep divisions and complex legal landscape surrounding armed rights in the United States.
The group Rescue California, which led the last recall in 2021,
As an electoral strategy, I'm termed out. That's not the issue. The politics here is compassion. The politics is purpose. That's the day job. It's not about some grand ambition, absolutely not.
Is that a yes or a no?
And grateful to the millions and millions of Californians that exercised their fundamental right.
I'm never going to overpromise that in the short run. I mean, we are struggling in this state.
You're not
Housing
answering my
and
question.
homelessness. I think that's table stakes. I think that's just a foundational responsibility of anyone that gets into my position.
Strategy and its challenges. Despite Governor Gavin Newsom's fervent push for a 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution aimed at tightening arm control laws, no other states have joined California's campaign in the past year, including 19 states where Democrats control both legislative houses. Newsom spokesperson Nathan Click emphasized that many states have part-time legislatures that won't reconvene until after the November elections. Newsom's team has been quietly working with legislators in these states to introduce resolutions in 2025, though they have been cautious about revealing specifics to avoid tipping off oppositions. Democratic-controlled states like New York, Illinois, Michigan, Massachusetts, and Hawaii have legislative sessions this year, but haven't taken steps to call for a constitutional convention on arm control. Inquiries by CalMasters revealed that legislative leaders in these states haven't discussed Newsom's plan, nor were they aware of any outreach from his team. Political resistance and concerns. Recent developments in states like New York and Pennsylvania highlight the political obstacles facing Newsom's proposal. In New York, the legislature voted to rescind several historic resolutions calling for constitutional conventions, driven by fears among progressive activists that such a process could be exploited by conservatives to undermine democratic rights. This concern isn't unfounded, as many Republican-led states have passed resolutions seeking a constitutional convention to adopt a balanced budget amendment. In Pennsylvania, where the legislature is under divided partisan control, Democratic House Speaker Joanna McClinton's caucus has focused on passing armed safety legislation. However, these efforts have been stymied by the Republican-led state Senate, making it unlikely that a constitutional convention proposal would fare any better. National arm control advocacy groups have maintained a cautious distance from Newsom's campaign. While these groups often support Newsom's legislative efforts and attend his bill signing ceremonies, they haven't publicly endorsed the constitutional amendment proposal. Major organizations like Everytown for Armed Safety and Brady United Against Armed Violence have declined to comment on how the proposal fits into their broader strategies. Despite this, Newsom continues to rally public support for his campaign through social media advertisements, encouraging people to sign a petition and get involved. Over the past year, more than 1 million people have signed up, and the campaign has trained over 1,500 volunteers, with plans to train 10,000 more by early 2025. Alan Gottlieb of the Second Amendment Foundation noted that Newsom's proposal has unintentionally served as a mobilization and fundraising tool for armed rights advocates. He expressed skepticism that the call for a constitutional convention would gain traction outside of California, especially during an election year. Gottlieb argued that armed control doesn't resonate as strongly with voters as other Democratic priorities like abortion rights, particularly in rural areas and battleground states. Newsom's strategy for a 2018 amendment faces significant hurdles, not only in garnering the necessary support from state legislatures, but also in overcoming the deeply entrenched opposition from armed rights advocates. The complexity of the constitutional amendment process, requiring the approval of 2/3 of state legislatures and ratification by 3/4 of the states, presents a formidable challenge. As Newsom's campaign looks to reinvigorate its efforts in 2025, the success of this bold initiative will depend heavily on building a broad-based coalition of support across the country. The outcome of this campaign will not only impact armed control laws, but could also influence the broader national debate on how to address contentious issues through constitutional amendments. And that's going to do it for this video, you guys. See you next time, and bye for now.